What's going on, guys? I hope you're having a good day. But this college football season is right around the corner, and I got 10 bold predictions for this season. Obviously, we got the new 12-team playoff coming to college football this year, so there's going to be a lot of big changes. No more 4-team playoff. Now there's a group of 5 team in the playoffs. It's going to be a really exciting year this year. But let's get into my 10 bold predictions for the 2024 college football season. At number 10, I got a UCLA prediction. I think Ethan Garbers is going to get benched after a tough start for UCLA. They got a really tough schedule, and I'm not too sure on Garbers. He's already got benched in the past, even in the first game for UCLA for a true freshman. Talking about true freshman, DeMarcus Davis came over from Washington, obviously after, Jed Fish was hired or something like that. But he's going to take over, and TJ Harden's also going to rush for 1,500 yards. This is going to be his breakout year, I think. He's finally not going to be the RB2, and he's finally going to be the RB1 this year. I think he's going to have a big year, which leads UCLA to 7-5, and they're going to make a bowl game. I don't think they're going to be too good, but I've seen some people predicting them to be much worse. I don't think they're going to be that bad. They're still UCLA. I know they're going through a rebuilding year, but they even have Eric Bieniemy. I can't pronounce his name, my bad. But they got the new offensive coordinator. They got the new head coach. I think UCLA is going to be pretty decent this year. At number 9, I think Aiden Childs will lead Michigan State to a 9-3 record in the first year of the Jonathan Smith era. They brought a couple guys from Oregon State. They brought Childs, the quarterback, and then they also brought their tight end, Jack Vierling. I think this is going to be a good Michigan State team this year, much improved from last year. They still got the good running back returning, Nate Carter. And they still got all the other receivers that are coming back from last year. I think it's going to be a good Michigan State team this year. I don't think they're going to be too good, but I think 9-3, maybe even 8-4 is a good record. But I think they're going 9-3 this year in their first year of the Jonathan Smith era in the new Big Ten. At number 8, I got a couple predictions for upsets potentially at home. So the first upset I have is I think Michigan's fans are gonna really take over this game versus number 4 Texas in week 2, and I think they'll upset Texas at home. I just don't know what Texas is gonna be in week 2. There's gonna be a lot of pressure for Quinn Ewers to succeed. Obviously, Arch Manning behind him, so we'll see how Texas performs this year. But I definitely do think Michigan's gonna get a big win in week 2. The other game I'm predicting is I think Alabama is going to be number 1 Georgia. Georgia's going to lose a game this year, and I think personally the game I'm predicting them to lose is versus number 5 Alabama. I think they are right now, and it's in a week 5 game. Anything can happen, and Alabama's at home. I think that's a game that Georgia's going to get upset by. Number 7, I think Florida State's going to start 0-2 with upsets versus Georgia Tech and Boston College. But they will beat the top team in the ACC in 2024, which you'll see later in the video, and they will finish 7-5. My number 6 prediction is a Big 12 prediction. I got Ollie Gordon. I think he's going to rush for 2,000 yards this year in Oklahoma State and also Arizona. They're each going to go 12-0 in the new Big 12. I think they don't play each other this year, and I think they're both going to go undefeated. But I think Noah Fafia is going to steal the Heisman by winning the Big 12 championship game. I think Arizona's going to win. I think they'll lock up that number 3 or 4 seed in the college football playoffs. Maybe even number 2. I think they're going to have a big win versus Oklahoma State, which is really going to propel Noah Fafita to win that Heisman Trophy. Which, I mean, here's a sneak peek, I think he's going to win the Heisman this year. Number 5. Here's one that I don't have them winning a lot of games. Oklahoma's going to struggle in their first year in the new SEC, and they will not make a bowl game. I don't mind Jackson Arnold, and I know they got the young running back, the junior Gavin Shalchuk, I think his name is. But I'm not really too high on Oklahoma. I think they're going to go 4-8, 5-7. Ceiling, I think they're not going to do any better than 7-5, man. I don't think their ceiling is that high. Especially the crowded teams, the SEC. What's it called? 16 ranked. I even think that's too high for them. I mean, I think they're going to put up a really good game versus Texas in the Red River rivalry. So we'll see, though. But number 5, I think that's fair. And I don't think they're going to win more than 5 games. I think I have them winning 4 in the new SEC. Number 4, Thomas Castellanos will finish top 5 in Heisman and will lead Boston College to a 9-3 season and finish top 3 in the ACC in their first year under Bill O'Brien. I think you saw Thomas Castellanos. Nobody knew who this guy was at the start of the year. Came out of nowhere, had a big season. I think he's going to throw for anywhere from 3,000 to 3,500 passing yards, have anywhere from probably 1,000 to 1,200 rushing yards, and he's going to have multi-digit touchdowns on the ground and obviously in the air. And I think this Boston College team's really good. I think they're going to finish top 3 in the ACC, but I don't see them, making the college football playoffs. But I could see this being a sneaky top 25 team that nobody's really talking about. At number 3, I think that Alec Eilmanor will lead the Power 4 in receiving yards and will have Stanford going bowling this season. If you looked at Stanford last year, they did go 3-9. I think they're going to go 7-5 this year. Obviously, Alec Eilmanor, most people know him from that Colorado game where he almost 300 receiving yards in that second half. Obviously, had that head top on Travis Hunter. But if you look at some of his other games versus Washington, I think he had over 150 receiving yards. You look at all these games, Eilmanor is a really good receiver, had, I think, nearly 1,300 receiving yards this year. And Stanford, they're just going to get more experience every year. Ashton Daniels is the quarterback right now. I think he's going to develop really well this year, going into his redshirt sophomore season. Assuming an Eilmanor redshirt sophomore. You do also have the true freshman Elijah Brown, 4-star recruit at a high school, the modern-day quarterback. I think potentially he could start, but I think Ashton Daniels could start the whole year. I believe in him to play well, especially Stanford's going bowling. I doubt they make the QB switch, unless, Brown comes in early, obviously. But I think Stanford's going to go bowling this year and expect Eilmanor to have a big year. I think he's going to lead the Power 4 in receiving yards, man. But I said Power 4. I didn't say out the country. At number 2 here, I got the top 2 wide receivers in college football this season. Both coming from the Mountain West, which is Torrey Horton from Colorado State and Ricky White from UNLV. Torrey Horton is going into his 5th year in college. Played 2 years at Nevada. I think he's coming up on his 3rd at Colorado State. Obviously, got offered to bag him and Baylor Fowler Nicolosi from Kansas State, which I don't understand why they offered Fowler Nicolosi. That, if you don't know who he is, he's the Colorado State QB because they have Avery Johnson, but I guess they wanted a QB battle. But obviously, they want to show their loyalty. They want to win championships at Colorado State. We'll see about that. I think they're going to play much better this year. I think they'll definitely make a bowl game. And I think Horton's going to be a big reason why. You look at that number 14 on his jersey, add 2 zeros to it, I think that's probably around where he's going to have in the receiving yards. And then you look at a guy like Ricky White, right? Another guy who's going to have that same receiving yards. The guy had, I think, 1,500 yards last year. I think he's going to get closer to 1,700, 1,600, maybe even 1,800 receiving yards this year. I don't think there's a shot that any of these Mountain West DBs can guard Ricky White. And I think he's going to play great this year for UNLV, especially that they do have Jacob DeJesus, who's really their only other receiving target. And that's kind of it. And obviously, they got the new quarterback, Jaden Mayava, for some reason transferred to USC. But, I think the 2 top receivers in college football this year, they're both going to come from the group of 5, and they're going to come from the Mountain West. So, shout out to the Mountain West. And finally, for my number 1 prediction, my boldest take this year in college football, I think Cal's going to go 11-1. I think they'll win the ACC in 2024, and they'll make the college football playoffs, and their one loss will be to Florida State. Like I said earlier in the video, I thought Florida State was going to beat the top team in the ACC this year, which I think is going to be Cal. I'm also really high on Clemson this year. I don't think they're going to be too great, but I think they'll probably finish second. But I think Cal, you look at this roster, if you told the average person, not saying that this roster is Cal, I think he's the top 2 running back in college football. He's the second best running back in college football. In the transfer portal, you took Notre Dame's best wide receiver and Toby Mayweather. I don't know what his full name is, but I don't know. Something like that. You also have Fernando Mendoza, going to his redshirt sophomore season. You have the North Texas transfer, Chandler Rogers, redshirt senior. You also have Kyron Graves, who's the transfer from Ohio State, former top 80 recruit. Also on this team, you have Jaden Bradley. I think that's what his name is, Jared Bradley. He was a receiver from New Mexico, was their number 2 receiver last season. And then you also have other guys. You have Old Dominion's running back, They got in transfer portal to beat our backup. I don't know what his name is, but I think he ran for 700, 800 yards last year, going into his senior season. And this Cal team is set up to play very well. They have depth at basically every position. Also in the transfer portal, they got the best FCS transfer in all college football. I don't know what his name is, but I know he's from Idaho, cornerback. So I think he's going to be really good for them this season. If you guys like the rest of this video, make sure to have a big thumbs up on it. And if you guys want to go watch the YouTube video later or any of my other videos, shorts, anything, let me know what you guys want from college football. I plan on having my week 1 predictions out soon, so I'll see you all later. Peace out.